Eve Jihan Cooper, born Eve Jeffers, November 10th, 1978. Today's feature is an artist that exemplifies what it means to take one vehicle to success and flip it at each turn to more success and eventually the life she's always seen herself living. Eve's story of evolution, as she'd call it, is one that should be studied. How she came from the bottom as far as entertainment to being a global crossover star in music, film, and television. No one tells a 17-year-old stripper that one day you'd be gracing the cover of magazines as the first lady of one of the biggest rap labels at the time, led by a juggernaut personality like DMX, who was too a music, film, and TV star himself and budding legend in the rap game. The opportunity was once in a lifetime, but one that only comes to the truly deserving. Even in those days she would dance in the club, Eve remained motivated and focused on becoming what she wanted since 13 years old, to be a rapper. Each customer she'd come across, she'd give them the option, you could have a lap dance and I'm sure that'd be great, but what I really do is rap, and she'd proceed to rap if welcomed, although I'm sure most people chose to be entertained by her first offer. In a lightning strike of fate, timing, and location, into the club one fateful night walks rapper Mace from Bad Boy Records, who had just dropped his debut album that went 4 times platinum and was one of the hottest rappers out at the time. She offered him the same deal, rap or dance, and Mace asked her to rap since she felt she didn't belong in the strip club and on a different stage. She did, and when she was done, he told her 4 words that changed her life. You don't belong here. You hear these stories all the time of men going to the strip club, finding a beautiful girl, which isn't difficult in that environment, and falling too deep for them and trying to save them from who they really are, and everything goes wrong. Well, Eve was different. She truly didn't belong there, as Mace told her. He added that if you're passionate about your music, you should leave and follow your dreams. She left that night and never came back. The next year, she was traveling to LA to work with the biggest producer in the game and signed to Interscope Records. Feeling she had already made it, she was in for a huge surprise and another life-altering disappointment. But what made her story legendary is she never gave up at that point, and it led to an even bigger opportunity to be the first, the only, and at one point the focus. Eve became one of the biggest female rappers ever, and it almost didn't happen for these important growth stunts she'd have to navigate through. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Twin on IG for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Eve is a rapper, actress, and more from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, given the name for her strong presence when she was born to a 17-year-old mother and bass musician in West Philly who wasn't around much at all. She grew up in the projects in a dangerous area where you either stared in the right direction or followed into the darkness of the streets. At a young age, she had a passion for music and performing, focusing on writing songs and rap, forming Dope Girl Posse with 3 other friends. They performed everywhere locally, including the radio stations. At 13, she moved to Germantown and the group went their separate ways. Her mom remarried and welcomed a new child, which caused Eve to lash out as she felt a lack of attention and turned to the streets where she was stripping at 17 before her life changed. Stunt number 1, dropped from Aftermath. Eve's stunted growths were uniquely different and represent what the term truly means, as they didn't completely stop her from reaching her goals because she chose not to let them. They halted her for a bit and turned into learning experiences that put her in a better position. One of those was when she was dropped from Dr. Dre and Aftermath Records. After Mace's advice directed her into being more serious about music, she found a manager and began really trying to get on locally with a song called Freak to Freak. She pretended to be a delivery girl for producer Mike Lynn, who also co-ran Aftermath Records, but broke out an impromptu performance for him, and turns out he was in Philly in search of new talent. Impressed, he phoned Dr. Dre and flew her to Los Angeles, still just 17 years old. Dre was also impressed after hearing her rap for 15 seconds and agreed to sign her. Excited about her new start, she stayed in the studio, learning the ways of a rapper still on the come-up. Dr. Dre at that point was far beyond having the time to build a new artist, so many studio nights went by and Eve grew tired of working with producers trying to come up themselves, yearning to work with Dr. Dre. Make matters worse, Aftermath had signed a new rapper that instantly came in with the potential to be rap's next big superstar, and his name was Eminem. Finding so much inspiration and excitement once again with Eminem, Dre and Aftermath placed all their focus on him, and Eve was placed on a forgotten back burner. Once again, she felt neglected and void of the attention she desperately needed. But the reality was that she wasn't ready to be the artist and do the numbers Dr. Dre wanted to keep as standard, especially now that they struck diamonds with Eminem. After nearly a year, she was dropped from the label and had to move back home to Philadelphia. Depressed and hurt to be at square one, she continued working until she got a phone call inviting her to Yonkers, New York to audition for Rough Riders, a sub-label also under Interscope that Jimmy Iovine thought would fit her perfectly. She was put into cypher after cypher and impressed so much she was signed and embraced as the all-male label First Lady. Stunt number 2, Hollywood Calling. After her signing to Rough Riders, Eve got to work quickly and released her debut single What Y'all Want in 1999 that instantly caught fire as the perfect blend of Eve's precise and smooth lyrics, a catchy beat and hook, and a song that could get Rough Riders into the clubs and on the radio. It peaked at #1 on the hip-hop charts and 29 on Billboard. The song blew up and suddenly Eve was everywhere and being called the next big hip-hop artist. As for any artist at the time that got a break like this, the worst they could do is attempt to ride out their one-hit success and not follow up with a full album. Interscope gave Rough Riders and Eve 30 days to produce an album, and they did. 3 months from her debut single being successfully received, her album finally comes out. It featured What Y'all Want, Got a Man, and my favorite song by Eve, Love is Blind. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts, allowing Eve to become the first female rapper to debut in that spot. It sold over 230,000 copies first week and eventually went double platinum. Eve was a success and finally made it to receiving all the attention she wanted as the biggest female rapper in the game at that point. In 2001, she readied her second album, attempting to avoid the sophomore jinx, and released the first single, Who's That Girl, that went gold, and 3 months later she released Let Me Blow Your Mind, that became her highest charting song and also biggest selling single that went platinum, featuring Gwen Stefani. It also won her first and only Grammy in 2002. The Scorpion album was her second major album success in less than 3 years and solidified her as a rap star. With back-to-back platinum albums under her belt, she decided to make her way down other entertainment paths like acting, appearing in Barbershop and XXX in 2002, and since then she hasn't looked back. Almost every year since, she's either appeared in a film or TV show. While she has a knack for acting and has had some success, it did get in the way of her focus on rap, and since 2002, that effect was evident in her music sales and presence in hip-hop. Her 2002 album, Evolution, was a direct reflection of that, selling over 600,000 copies and being her first album that failed to go platinum. All wasn't bad, as she did have a #2 single in the country featuring Alicia Keys, but thereafter she dove heavily into acting and other ventures. Stunt number 3, Finding Another Pocket. Since her 2002 album and successful acting career, Eve simply couldn't find that pocket in rap any longer, where she was in the race for being the top female artist. It led to her taking an 11-year hiatus from releasing music, minus the attempts in 2007 with the song Tambourine that peaked at 37 on the charts and Give It To You that failed to chart. By 2013, she was ready to release another album, but without a strong single and her fan base all but moving on, not to mention leaving a big machine like Interscope, the album sold 9,000 copies first week and peaked at 46 on the Billboard 200. It would be her final album and last time we'd really see rapper Eve, minus a non-album release in 2019. Whether it was her reaching the point she was satisfied with her success, acting, or simply wanting to explore other aspects of life, she never found another musical pocket. All in all, rap was a success for Eve. She didn't have to be as raunchy as the acts before and after her to become more successful than most female rappers, and I've always felt like skill-wise, she was the best of them all. There may have been some points she had growth stunts, but it didn't hold her back from evolving into a star in entertainment, and now a happily married mother of a child and 4 bonus kids as she calls them, and author. Salute to Eve, one of my favorite female rappers of all time. Much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.